It started like any other morning, too ordinary for what was about to happen. The smell of coffee drifted from the kitchen. Sunlight touched the marble floor, and for a second, I thought life was still normal. "Morning, Dad," I said, stepping into the dining room. He didn't look up from his newspaper. "Sit down." Something in his tone made my chest tighten. Mom stood by the counter, her hands trembling as she poured coffee. I noticed her avoiding my eyes. "Did something happen?" I asked carefully. Dad folded the paper, eyes sharp. "Ethan, we need to talk," I laughed nervously. "That sounds serious." "It is." He leaned forward. "You've embarrassed this family." My smile faded. "What, how?" He slid a thin folder across the table. "Your grades. Your suspension." "The fight at school," I froze. "That wasn't my fault." He slammed his hand on the table. "Don't lie to me." Mom flinched. I'd never seen her that pale. "I didn't lie," I said quietly. "I tried to explain, but nobody—" "You disappointed us," he cut in, voice cold. "You're not the son we raised." "Richard," Mom whispered, "maybe we should—" "Enough, Margaret," he snapped. "You had your chance to talk to him." Her lips quivered, but she said nothing. I looked between them, desperate. "Please, just tell me what's going on. I'll fix it. Whatever it is, I'll make it right." Dad's eyes hardened. "You can't fix this. You failed us." The words hit harder than I expected. "Failed you? I'm 17. People make mistakes." He stood, towering over me. "Not my son," Mom whispered. "Please, Richard." "Pack your things," he said, voice final. "You're leaving today." I blinked, thinking I misheard. "Leaving? You'll find somewhere else to stay. You're not welcome here anymore." My throat burned. "You're serious?" He didn't answer. He just turned away. I turned to Mom. "Mom, please. Say something. Tell him this isn't real." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Ethan." "Sorry?" My voice cracked. "That's it?" She reached for me, then stopped halfway, as if touching me would make it worse. I stepped back, heart pounding. I didn't steal. I didn't lie. "I didn't do anything!" Dad said quietly. "You brought shame. That's enough." I stared at him, waiting for the smirk, the reveal that it was some cruel test. It never came. The silence was louder than his anger. "Where will I go?" I whispered. "That's not my concern," he said. "You're not a child anymore." "I'm 17, I said bitterly. "Still legally your kid. Not anymore." He looked at me like I was a stranger. "You're on your own." I waited for Mom to stop him. She didn't. Her tears fell silently onto her coffee cup. Something inside me cracked. I went upstairs, numb, packed what I could. Some clothes, my phone, a half-empty wallet. When I came down, Dad was gone. Mom stood at the doorway, arms crossed like she was holding herself together. "Why?" I asked again, my voice barely there. "Tell me why this is happening." She hesitated, then whispered, "Sometimes love isn't enough." I wanted to scream. Instead, I just nodded, too broken for words. She reached out again, her fingers trembling, then pulled back before touching me. "Go before he changes his mind," I laughed bitterly. "Changes his mind? About throwing me out?" Her lip trembled. "Just survive, Ethan, please." I stepped past her. "Goodbye, Mom." She didn't say it back. Outside, the world was quiet. The air smelled like rain. I stood on the sidewalk with my backpack, staring at the house that had been my whole world. Every window looked like an eye, watching me leave. I walked for hours. Nowhere to go, replaying every moment, every smile, every scolding. I tried to remember when love turned into silence. By sunset, I found a bridge near the river. The wind was cold, the concrete harder than I imagined. I sat down, pulled my jacket tight, and stared at the fading light. "Failed you," I whispered to the night. I don't even know what I did. The stars came out one by one, indifferent. My chest ached, but somewhere deep inside, a tiny voice whispered back, "Survive." So I did what I promised myself that night. I swore I'd survive. No matter how much it hurt, the first few weeks blurred together. Cold nights, empty stomach, and the constant echo of my father's voice, "You failed us." I tried to forget, but hunger had a way of reminding me that I didn't belong anywhere. "Hey, kid," a voice called one afternoon near the auto shop. "You looking for work or just standing there for fun?" I turned. A man with grease-stained hands and a half-smile leaned on the hood of a car. "I can work," I said quickly. "Anything." I'll clean, lift, whatever, he squinted. You look about 17. You ever fixed an engine? No. Good. Means you won't think you know everything. He tossed me a rag. Name's Leo. Ethan, I said, catching it. All right, Ethan. Start with cleaning tools. Don't steal, don't complain, and don't pass out from the smell. Deal? Deal. I worked until my arms ached. When he handed me a few crumpled bills, I stared at them like they were treasure. That look, Leo chuckled. You'd think I paid you in gold. You kind of did, I said. He raised an eyebrow. You homeless? I hesitated. Something like that. Family trouble? Yeah, he nodded slowly, not prying. Then you work, you eat. Simple rule. That night I used the money to buy bread and water. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Days turned into weeks. Leo taught me how to replace tires, change oil, even argue with customers without getting punched. One evening he said, "You learn fast. You've got hands that want to survive." I have to, I said quietly. He studied me. Survival's not just working hard. It's forgiving yourself. I looked down. Not sure I know how, he sighed. Then start with forgiving the world. It's not as personal as it feels. I didn't understand then. I just nodded and kept working. Sometimes after closing, I'd wander to the diner down the street. That's where I met Ava. She caught me staring at the leftover pie through the window. You planning to rob the display case or buy something? She teased, stepping outside with a tray. I blushed. Neither. Just looking, she smiled, setting down a paper bag. Well, lucky for you, we have a policy. Unclaimed leftovers go to whoever's looking. I can't take that, I said. You can, and you will. She pushed it toward me. Eat before I change my mind. I opened the bag, half a sandwich, a slice of pie, and a small cup of soup. Thank you, she leaned on the doorframe. You always this polite? Just when I'm starving, she laughed softly. I'm Ava. Ethan. Nice to meet you, Ethan, who's starving. Come back tomorrow. I hate wasting food. I wanted to say I wasn't a charity case, but my stomach growled louder than my pride. So I nodded. For weeks, that diner became my evening stop. She'd hand me food and we'd talk. One night, she asked, "So what's your story?" Long and sad, I said. I've got time. My parents kicked me out. Her smile faded. Why? They said I failed them. I still don't know how. That's rough, she said softly. You must have loved them a lot. I did, I admitted. Still do, I think, she nodded. Then don't let that love die. Just change what it means. What does that even mean? Make it fuel. Not chains. Her words stuck with me. One rainy night, Leo found me sleeping behind the shop. Damn it, kid, he muttered. Why didn't you tell me you were still out here? I didn't want pity. It's not pity. It's decency. He handed me an old blanket. You earned it. I held it tight. Thanks. He sat beside me. Listen, Ethan, the streets will eat you alive if you keep blaming yourself. You want to survive? You build something new. Like what? He shrugged. A reason. Any reason? The rain hit the pavement softly. I looked up at the gray sky and whispered, maybe I'll start with forgiveness. Leo smirked. Good start. Hardest thing you'll ever do. By the time I lay down that night, something inside me shifted. The pain was still there, but it wasn't hollow anymore. It was weight I could carry. I thought of my father's voice, my mother's silence, Ava's kindness, Leo's patience. The world hadn't broken me. It was shaping me. I closed my eyes, whispering to myself, I'll make it. I'll survive. And for the first time since that night under the bridge, I almost believed it.
10 years. It still feels strange saying that out loud.
I'm 27 now, older, sharper, still carrying the echo of that night when my parents told me I wasn't their son anymore. The smell of oil and metal fills the air every morning at my shop. It's not much, just 2 garages, a flickering sign, and Leo shouting at customers, but it's mine. Ethan, Leo yelled from under a car. You gonna stare at the sky or help me fix this junk? I smirked. You said you wanted to teach me patience. I said I wanted coffee. Big difference. I tossed him a mug. You're getting old, he snorted. And you're getting sentimental. Stop it before it spreads. I laughed, wiping grease from my hands. You'd miss it if I stopped talking. He rolled out from beneath the car, grinning. You're right. Silence would kill me. We worked in rhythm, the kind built through years of shared hunger and stubbornness. Leo had become more than a boss or friend. He was family, the kind that didn't leave. By noon, the shop quieted. I sat at my desk flipping through invoices when the newspaper headline caught my eye: Coal Enterprises faces collapse amid fraud allegations. The name hit me like a brick. I stared at it until the letters blurred. "Leo," I called softly. He walked over, wiping his hands. "What's wrong?" I turned the paper around. "That's my father's company," he frowned. "Coal Enterprises? The big one downtown?" "Yeah," he whistled low. "Damn. Says here they're getting eaten alive. Investors pulling out. Some insider leaked documents." My chest felt tight, but not in the way it used to. "So the empire finally burns." Leo studied me. "You okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. I should feel something, maybe pity. But I looked at the headline again. "I don't, not even a little." He leaned against the counter. "You ever think this is karma?" "Maybe," I said quietly. "But karma's too gentle. They didn't just hurt me, they erased me." He was silent for a moment. "You ever think about going back?" "Why would I?" I asked. "They threw me out like trash. I built something from nothing. This," I gestured around the shop, "is my life now." "Still," Leo said, "sometimes ghosts need burying." "Some ghosts deserve to wander," I muttered. He nodded slowly. "Just don't let their ruin turn into your obsession." I folded the paper. "It won't. But I'd be lying if I said I don't enjoy the irony." He smiled faintly. "You always were a mix of fire and frost. Guess you rubbed off on me." The day went on as if nothing had happened, but the thought wouldn't leave. That night I sat outside the shop, watching traffic lights blink red and green over wet asphalt. Ava's voice came to mind, her soft laughter, her endless kindness. She'd moved away years ago, chasing nursing school. We kept in touch for a while, then life drifted us apart. She'd always told me, "Don't let pain define you," and yet here I was, tracing my father's downfall like it was my redemption. I whispered to myself, maybe I haven't changed as much as I thought. Leo came out, lighting a cigarette. "You still brooding?" "Just thinking. About them." "Yeah," he exhaled smoke into the cold air. "You know, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It just means you stop letting them win." "I stopped letting them win the day I survived." He chuckled. "Good. Keep it that way." I looked up at the night sky, dark but clear. "Do you think he remembers me?" "Your father?" "Yeah. Only when it hurts him," Leo said simply. That answer sat heavy in my chest. I didn't know if it comforted me or cut deeper. The paper still lay on my desk when I went back inside. The photo showed my father standing outside the company building, older now, eyes hollow. Mom wasn't there. Maybe she left, maybe she stayed. I didn't want to know. I traced his face with my finger, not out of longing, but closure. "You built an empire, Dad," I whispered, and forgot how to build a son. The lights flickered as I turned off the shop's sign. My reflection in the window looked steady, stronger than I remembered. For the first time, I didn't see the boy they threw away. I saw a man they couldn't destroy, and though bitterness still burned, beneath it was something quieter, satisfaction. Not because they fell, but because I didn't. Ava found me outside the shop that evening, her coat damp from the drizzle. She held an envelope in her hand. "Ethan," she said softly, "this came for you." I frowned. "For me? No one writes to me." "It was left at the diner," she explained. "Old lady, trembling hands, said it was urgent." I took the letter, my name written in shaky cursive. I didn't need to see the signature to know who it was from. My pulse quickened anyway. "Who's it from?" Ava asked. "My mother," I said. Her eyes widened. "After all these years?" I nodded slowly and tore the envelope open. The paper smelled faintly of perfume I hadn't forgotten. I started reading, my voice low. "Ethan, we need you. Please come home, that was it." No apology. No explanation. Just need. I stared at the words until the ink blurred. "Unbelievable," I muttered. Ava stepped closer. "What are you going to do?" "I should burn it," I said bitterly. "Pretend it never existed." "But?" she asked gently. I looked at her. "But I can't," she sighed. "You still want answers?" "I want closure," I said. "Maybe revenge." "I don't even know anymore." Ava touched my arm. "Just don't go there angry. You'll regret it." "I've been angry for 10 years, I said quietly. "Regret's old news," she didn't argue. She just looked at me with that same soft sadness she always had. "Then promise me you'll come back." "I will," I said. One way or another, the drive to the mansion felt surreal. The city blurred past, neon lights bleeding into memory. When I reached the old gate, rust clung to the edges like time refusing to let go. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Still beautiful, still cold. I rang the bell. The sound echoed like a ghost. The door opened slowly. My mother stood there, her face pale, eyes red from crying. For a moment, she didn't speak. "Ethan," she whispered. I stood still. 10 years, I said flatly. "Now you want to talk?" Tears filled her eyes. "We made mistakes." "Mistakes?" I laughed bitterly. "You threw me out like trash," she flinched. "Your father was wrong." "Oh, now he was wrong," I cut in. "Convenient timing." "Please," she said, voice trembling. "He's not well. He's not the same." I stepped inside without asking. The hallway smelled like dust and silence. Everything looked smaller, like time had stolen its pride. "Where is he?" I asked. "In the study." I walked ahead. She followed, her footsteps hesitant. When I pushed the door open, my father was sitting in his old chair, staring at the window. His once steady hands trembled slightly. The man who'd ruled over everything now looked hollow. He didn't look up right away. When he did, his eyes flickered with disbelief. "Ethan?" I said nothing. He stood slowly, his voice rough. "You came. I read your letter," I said. "Didn't realize desperation was hereditary." He winced. "I deserve that." "No," I said coldly. "You deserve worse." He looked down. "The company, it's gone." "Everything's gone." "I know," I said. "The news made sure of it." He nodded faintly. "I don't expect forgiveness." "Good," I said. "You won't get it." My mother sobbed quietly behind me. "Ethan, please, please what?" I turned toward her. "Pretend the past didn't happen? Pretend I didn't sleep under a bridge while you served dinner in this house?" She covered her face. I wanted to stop him. "Then why didn't you?" I asked. "You watched." My father's voice cracked. "I thought I was teaching you strength. By destroying me?" He looked at me with watery eyes. "By forcing you to stand on your own." I almost laughed. "Don't rewrite cruelty into wisdom, Dad. You didn't make me strong, you just made me alone." The silence after that was heavier than any scream. He whispered, "You hate me." "No," I said, surprising even myself. Hate would mean I still care enough to feel it. He sank back into the chair, shoulders shaking. My mother clutched his arm, crying. I turned toward the door. "Ethan, please," she called. "Don't go," I paused. "You called me home for what? To fix a life that broke long before I left?" Her voice cracked. "To say sorry?" I looked back once. "You're 10 years too late." Then I walked out. Outside, the air was cold and sharp. My hands trembled, but not from fear. Something inside me had shifted. Not peace, not forgiveness, but release. For the first time, I wasn't running from my ghosts. I was walking past them. I didn't plan to go back inside, but something in me refused to leave it unfinished. The air in that house felt heavier the second time I stepped through the door. My parents sat in the living room, the silence thick enough to choke on. My father looked up first. "You came back?" "Not for long," I said. "Just answers," he nodded slowly. "Then sit." I didn't. "Say what you need to say." He stared at the floor for a long time, then whispered, "It was a test." The words didn't register at first. "A what?" "A test," he repeated, his voice trembling. "We wanted to see if you could survive without us." I blinked, almost laughing. "You threw me out of my own home to test me?" He lifted his head. "You had grown weak, entitled. I needed you to understand life's cruelty." My chest burned. "So you decided to teach me by abandoning me?" My mother's voice broke the tension, soft and shaking. "We did it out of love, Ethan. We wanted to make you strong." I stared at her, speechless. "Love?" Tears slid down her cheeks. "We thought you'd come back sooner. That you'd prove us wrong." "Prove you wrong?" I laughed bitterly. "You wanted proof I could survive being thrown away?" My father said quietly, "You did survive. You became strong, independent. Isn't that what you wanted?" I took a step toward him. "You think I wanted that? You think I wanted hunger, humiliation, sleeping under bridges, begging for jobs?" He winced but didn't look away. "It was necessary. For who?" I demanded. "For me or for your pride?" He stayed silent. My mother reached for my arm, but I pulled back. "Do you know what that night did to me?" I asked. I thought I'd done something unforgivable. I replayed every memory, every word, trying to figure out why you stopped loving me. Her lip trembled. We never stopped. Then you sure had a cruel way of showing it. My father sighed. You wouldn't understand. Parents sometimes make hard choices. Stop! My voice cracked. Don't call that parenting. Call it what it was, control. You wanted obedience, not love. He looked older now, smaller somehow. Everything I did was to prepare you for this world. You destroyed your son to build your pride, I said quietly. Don't dress it up as wisdom. Neither of them spoke. The clock ticked on the wall, steady and merciless. I turned away, running a hand through my hair. 10 years and this is what you have to offer? A lesson? You think pain is some noble teacher? It worked, my father whispered. The words froze me. What did you say? You're still standing, he said. You built a life. You survived. You're proof I was right. Something inside me cracked wide open. You're proud of what you did? He didn't answer. My mother sobbed into her hands. I used to wish you'd die, I said softly, not out of hate. Out of mercy, because I thought maybe if you were gone, I could stop loving you. My mother looked up, eyes red. Please don't say that. I already did. I turned toward the door, but my father's voice stopped me. Ethan, don't leave angry. Angry? I faced him, trembling. You took everything from me. My childhood, my trust, my faith in love. And now you want peace? He looked down, defeated. I want my son. You buried him 10 years ago, I said. All that's left is the man you created, and he doesn't forgive. I walked out before either of them could speak. Outside, the night air was cold enough to sting. The moon hung above the mansion, pale and distant, like it was watching everything unfold. I leaned against my car, my breath shaking. The house behind me glowed faintly through the windows, warm light, hollow people. For years, I'd imagined hearing an apology. But now that I had the truth, it felt worse than silence. It was a test, I whispered to myself, laughing through the ache. And I passed. Congratulations, Dad. The laugh died in my throat. The ache didn't. The wind brushed past me, carrying the faint scent of the garden my mother used to tend. I wondered if she still did. I wondered if anything in that house ever truly lived. As I looked up at the moon, something inside me went quiet, not healed, not whole, just empty. That night, under its pale light, something in me died all over again. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, their words replayed. It was a test. I turned in bed until the sheets tangled around me like restraints. By morning, I was already awake, sitting on the floor, staring at the wall. Leo's voice from the night before echoed in my mind. You can walk away, he had said, or you can make them see what they did. I'd laughed then. And what? Become like them? He looked at me calmly. No, become better, and make sure they know it. That stuck. Now, standing outside my father's office the next day, my heartbeat was steady. Not nervous, just cold. The receptionist looked surprised when she saw me. Mr. Hayes, she stammered. They weren't expecting you. They never do, I said. Tell him his son's here, the one he tried to erase. Minutes later, I stepped into his office. My father sat behind his desk, the empire he'd built looking smaller around him. His face was pale, papers scattered everywhere. You look tired, I said. He sighed. Running a company isn't easy when half your partners vanish overnight. I sat across from him. Then maybe you shouldn't have raised enemies. He gave me a sharp look. If you're here to gloat, leave. I'm not here to gloat, I said. I'm here to make a deal. He frowned. A deal? You need help. I have resources, contacts, and enough leverage to turn this around. He leaned back. You're offering to help me. Not you, I said evenly. The company. But on my terms. What terms? I take control of operations. You step back. No interference, no questions. He laughed bitterly. You're serious. Completely. He studied me for a long time. You think I'd let you take my legacy? You already lost it, I said. I'm offering to rebuild what you destroyed. And what do you get out of it? I smiled faintly. Closure. He rubbed his temples. You're doing this out of spite. I'm doing it because I can, I said. Because after everything you took, I'm still standing and you're not. Silence filled the room. He looked out the window like the city might offer an answer. If I refuse, then you watch it all burn, I said quietly. Either way, I win. His shoulders dropped, the fight draining from his eyes. You've changed. You made sure of that. He hesitated, then said, All right, you'll have what you need. But remember, this company carries my name. Not for long, he didn't reply. I stood to leave, but his voice stopped me. Ethan, he said softly. This, what you're doing, it won't heal you. I turned back. I'm not looking for healing. I'm reclaiming what was stolen. As I walked out, Leo was waiting near the elevator. He grinned when he saw my face. So, how'd it go? He agreed. Leo's eyebrows rose. That easy? Nothing about this is easy, I said. He thinks I'm helping him. Leo crossed his arms. And are you? I met his gaze. I'm helping myself. We rode the elevator down in silence. The reflection in the metal doors barely looked like me anymore. Colder eyes, tighter jaw, a man built from fire and restraint. Leo finally said, You sure this is what you want? I don't know, I admitted, but I need it. When the doors opened, the noise of the lobby rushed in, phones ringing, shoes clicking, the dull rhythm of business. It used to intimidate me. Now it just sounded like background noise to a war I was about to win. Outside, the wind carried the faint hum of the city. I took a deep breath, the weight in my chest neither anger nor peace, something in between. I thought of my mother's tears, my father's hollow eyes, the word love twisted into a weapon. This wasn't revenge. It was balance, Leo said quietly. You're walking a thin line, man. I know, I said, but at least now it's my line. We stopped beside my car. He looked at me curiously. So what's the plan? I smiled faintly. To rebuild it my way. No charity, no apologies, he nodded slowly. And if he tries to take it back, then he'll learn what it feels like to lose everything. Leo exhaled, half in awe, half in fear. You're colder than I thought. Not cold, I said, opening the door. Just done pretending to be warm. As I drove away, the mansion's shadow faded behind the skyline. The road ahead gleamed under the afternoon sun, clear, sharp, unmerciful. Inside, I felt a strange calm. I wasn't helping them. I was taking back everything they stole from me, and this time, I wouldn't stop halfway. The mornings began earlier now. The smell of burnt coffee, the hum of machines, the echo of people who finally believed again. It all felt unreal. Leo leaned against my office door. You ever sleep? Sometimes, I said, signing another document. Mostly I rebuild, he smirked. You've turned this place inside out. Half the old board hates you. Good, I said. Means I'm doing something right. He walked in, glancing at the framed blueprint on the wall. You really did it, huh? From a street corner to this. Not done yet, I replied. But close. The phone buzzed. My assistant's voice came through, hesitant. Mr. Cole, your father's asking for a meeting. I paused. Tell him I'm busy. Leo frowned. You're really not going to talk to him? What's left to say? He shrugged. Maybe he wants to admit he was wrong. I looked at him. And if he doesn't? Then at least you'll know. I didn't answer. Instead, I stood and stared out the window. The city stretched below, alive and indifferent. Every brick, every deal, every sleepless night, it was mine now. Hours later, my father appeared at my door anyway. He didn't knock. You've done well, he said quietly. I didn't look up. You sound surprised. I am, he admitted. You rebuilt what I thought was beyond saving. Not what you built, I said. What I rebuilt, he stepped closer. People respect you, Ethan, even the board. They call you the son who came back from the dead. I finally looked up. I didn't come back. I was never gone. You just stopped looking. He winced but didn't argue. You've changed this place. It's leaner, smarter. But why make it kind? Because cruelty built your empire, I said. And look how it ended, he sighed. You still hate me? No, I said softly. Hate needs care. I stopped feeding it years ago. He watched me, the weight of unspoken words filling the space. Your mother wants to see you. I know. She worries. She watched me sleep under bridges. His voice lowered. She cried every night. And never came. He had no reply. When he finally left, the air felt heavier. I sat in silence until Leo appeared again, holding 2 coffees. Let me guess, he said. Dad talk didn't go well. I took the cup. It went how it always does, half truth, half regret. He sat opposite me. You ever think about forgiving them? I stared at the steam rising between us. Forgiveness isn't the problem. Emptiness is, he tilted his head. You've got power, respect, money. Why empty? Because none of it means anything without meaning, I said. Leo gave a soft laugh. That's deep. You sound like someone who needs a vacation. Maybe, I said, forcing a smile. But I'm not done yet. The next few weeks blurred into endless meetings. The company shifted beneath my hands. New systems, fairer pay, fewer lies. People started stopping me in the hallways. Mr. Cole, thank you for giving us a chance. Sir, things feel different now. Every voice felt like a small victory. But every night, when the office lights dimmed and the silence returned, I felt that same hollow pulse inside. One evening, my mother came. She stood in the doorway, eyes uncertain. You've grown into everything I hoped for. I didn't move. You hoped for this? For 10 years of silence? Her voice trembled. I was afraid. Your father— I don't, I interrupted. You made a choice, she nodded slowly. And now I'm trying to make another one. To know you again, I looked at her hands, they were shaking. For a moment, I saw the woman who used to tuck me in, hum off-key lullabies, smell like warm bread and lavender. Then I blinked, and she was just a stranger in expensive clothes. I don't know if I can, I said quietly. Tears welled in her eyes. At least you're honest. She turned to leave, but I spoke. Mom, she stopped. Tell him I'm not doing this to hurt him. Her lips trembled. Then why? To remember who I was before he broke me. She nodded once and walked away. When she was gone, I sank back into my chair. The office lights buzzed softly overhead. Leo's words came back to me. You can walk away or make them see what they did. Maybe I was doing both. The company thrived. Investors returned. My name was whispered in rooms where I once wasn't allowed to stand. And yet, when I looked at everything I'd built, the victory didn't taste like I thought it would. I'd risen from the ashes, but somewhere between revenge and redemption, I'd lost the warmth that made it worth it. The boardroom felt colder than usual that morning. Maybe it was the silence, or maybe it was the weight of what everyone already knew. Leo leaned toward me. You ready for this? I've been ready for 10 years, I whispered. At the far end of the table, my father sat stiff, eyes sharp but tired. The men and women around us avoided his gaze. Papers shuffled, tension thick enough to choke on. The chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Cole, given recent performance and the company's turnaround under Ethan's leadership, the board has reached a decision. My father's jaw tightened. A decision? The chairman nodded slowly. We believe the best path forward is for Ethan to assume the role of CEO. My father's face drained of color. For a moment, no one breathed. He turned to me, voice low but trembling. You knew. I met his eyes. I didn't plan this. You did. He slammed his fist on the table. Don't you dare— I'm not the one who drove them away, I interrupted. You did that yourself. The board members looked down, pretending not to hear. You think you're better than me? He hissed. No, I said. Just smarter than the man who taught me everything through cruelty. He leaned back slowly, his anger shifting into something hollow. All this time you wanted revenge. I wanted truth, I said quietly. And now I see it. You didn't fall because of betrayal. You fell because you couldn't see past yourself. The chairman cleared his throat again, breaking the silence. Mr. Cole, please. This transition is in the company's best interest. My father stared at the table for a long time. Then, without a word, he signed the papers. His hands shook as he passed them to me. Congratulations, Mr. Cole, the chairman said softly. The room clapped, awkward, restrained. I didn't smile. After the meeting, I found my father standing by the window, looking out over the city he once ruled. His reflection looked older than I remembered. You won, he said. I didn't come to win, I replied. I came to survive, he laughed bitterly. You sound just like me. No, I said. I sound like the man you created and couldn't control. He turned toward me, eyes glistening. Not with tears, but something close. You think this will make you happy? I stopped chasing happiness a long time ago. He nodded slowly, his shoulders sagging. Maybe that's my real failure. I stepped closer, the silence between us heavy with years of things unsaid. You once told me pain makes a man strong. You were right. But you never said it also makes him cold. He He smiled faintly, almost proud. Then I taught you well. No, I said. You taught me to survive. I learned how to live on my own. He stared at me for a long time, then whispered, So what happens now? I take over. You step back. You rest. And if I refuse? I looked him dead in the eye. You won't. You've already lost. For a moment, he just stood there, chest rising and falling with slow, defeated breaths. Then he nodded. You've become stronger than me. I had to, I said. You made sure of that. He gave a faint smile, sad, distant. Then I suppose my work is done? I didn't answer. He walked out quietly, leaving the scent of old cologne and broken pride behind him. Later that evening, my mother came to my office. Her eyes were red. He's retired, she said softly. He's sitting alone, staring at nothing. I didn't look up from the report I was signing. He chose that path. She came closer. You don't have to be cruel. I'm not, I said. I'm just done pretending things didn't happen. Tears filled her eyes. You're becoming what you hated. I paused, pen in hand. Maybe, but at least I know it. She stepped forward suddenly and wrapped her arms around me. I froze. Please, she whispered. Don't let this destroy what's left of you. Her warmth was real, trembling, desperate. For a second, I almost let myself melt into it. Almost. Then I pulled back. I can't go back, Mom, not after everything. She nodded weakly, wiping her tears. I'm proud of you, even if it hurts to be. Then we finally understand each other, I said. She smiled through her sadness. He's proud too, you know. He just doesn't know how to say it. Then he never will, I said quietly. Some things come too late. She reached up, touched my cheek, and whispered, You won, Ethan. I looked past her, at the skyline glowing in the distance. Winning feels a lot like losing. That night, I sat alone in my office. The city lights flickered below, like 1,000 tiny witnesses. I'd taken the empire that once cast me out, reshaped it, ruled it, and yet the victory rang hollow, cold justice. Bittersweet peace. I had become everything my father feared and everything he'd made me to be. The nights were the worst. The city slept, but my mind didn't. Success buzzed around me. Calls, meetings, respect. But when the noise faded, silence became unbearable. I'd sit in my office, lights dimmed, staring at the skyline. Somewhere out there was the bridge where it all began. Leo's voice echoed in my memory. You can walk away, or make them see what they did. I'd made them see. But now, I didn't know what I was looking at anymore. One morning, I found myself driving without thinking. Past towers, markets, memories. The road curved into the old neighborhood, where the air still smelled like smoke and engine oil. Leo's garage stood where it always had, stubborn and alive. He looked up as I walked in. Well, look who finally remembers the ground he came from. I smiled faintly. Didn't think you'd still be here. Someone's gotta fix the mess people make, he said, wiping his hands. What brings the mighty Ethan Cole back to the dirt? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe the dirt feels more honest. He studied me for a moment. You look tired. I am. Company doing bad? Better than ever, he snorted. Then why do you sound like it's killing you? I didn't answer. He tossed me a bottle of water and sat across from me. Talk, he said simply. I took a slow breath. I did everything I said I would. Built it back. Took control. Made him step down. I should feel something, and you don't? Nothing. Leo nodded like he'd expected that. That's what revenge does. It fills the hole just enough to make you think you're healed until you realize it's still empty. I looked at him. You're saying I wasted 10 years? No, he said softly. I'm saying you survived them. But now it's time to live. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I don't even know what that means anymore. He chuckled. Then start by remembering who helped you when no one else did. That's when I heard a familiar voice behind me. He's right, you know, I turned. Ava stood in the doorway, apron still on, hair tied back the same way she used to when she worked nights at the diner. You still sneak up on people? I said. She smiled. And you still look like you haven't eaten, Leo grinned. Told you he'd show up eventually. Ava walked closer. I saw your face on TV last week. The prodigal son rebuilds his father's empire. You looked lonely. Maybe I was, I admitted. She handed me a cup of coffee. So was it worth it? I hesitated. At the time, yes. Now I don't know. I got everything I wanted and it feels like I lost something bigger. Yourself, she said quietly. Her words hit harder than I expected. Maybe, Leo leaned forward. You don't have to keep punishing yourself, man. You proved your point. I think I proved the wrong one, I said. I thought revenge would free me. It just made me like him. Ava reached out and touched my hand. You're not him. You came back here. That simple truth settled inside me. I looked around, the rusted tools, the smell of oil, the two people who never turned away. My real family. You both kept me alive, I said. When no one else did, Leo smirked. Yeah, well, you still owe me for that engine you broke. Ava laughed softly, and for the first time in a long while, I laughed too. It felt strange, light, almost fragile. When I stood to leave, Leo said, So what now? Back to the glass tower? Not today, I said. There's something I need to do first. I drove to the mansion one last time. The gates creaked open like they recognized me. The garden was overgrown, windows dim. Inside, my parents sat together in the living room. My mother looked up first. Ethan. I met her eyes, then his. You wanted to test me, I said, to see if I could survive without you. My father opened his mouth, but I kept going. Now it's my turn. Live without me, my mother stood. Please don't. I'm not angry, I said quietly. I just don't belong here anymore. My father's voice cracked. After everything, you just walk away? Yes, I said. Because walking away is the only thing you taught me that ever worked. Silence. My mother's tears fell softly. My father didn't move. I turned to leave, stopping only once at the door. I hope you find peace. I'm finally trying to. The air outside was cool, almost gentle. I looked back at the house that once defined me and felt nothing but calm. As I walked down the driveway, Leo's words came back again. You can walk away, or make them see what they did. This time, I wasn't walking away from pain. I was walking toward freedom, and for the first time since I was 17, I felt light. The gates were rusted now. The vines had crawled over the walls like time claiming what pride once built. I stood outside the mansion that used to define everything I was running toward, and everything I was running from. The silence felt different this time. Not heavy, not painful, just still. I walked through the cracked doorway, the echo of my footsteps filling the empty hall. Dust hung in the sunlight like forgotten ghosts. The portraits were gone, the furniture covered, but the smell, wood polish and regret, lingered. Hard to believe this place once ruled your world, Leo had told me years ago. He was right. I found the grand piano still standing in the corner. My mother used to play it every Sunday morning. I ran my fingers along the keys. They made no sound. You made me strong, I whispered, but not in the way you wanted. I could almost hear my father's voice. Strength means control, Ethan. I smiled faintly. No, it means letting go. I turned when I heard footsteps behind me, light, careful. Ava stood in the doorway holding a small box. You came, I said. I promised I would, she replied. You sure you're ready? I've been ready for years, I said quietly. Just didn't realize it. She nodded and handed me the box. Leo wanted you to have this. I took it, fingers trembling. Inside was a single photo, me, Leo, and Ava standing outside the garage years ago. My hair was longer, my smile unguarded. I exhaled softly. He kept this? Ava nodded. He said it was the first time he saw you look alive. I laughed under my breath. I barely remember that day. You were fixing the old bike, she said. You swore you'd make it run even though it was falling apart. And I did, I said. Took me 3 days and too much pride, she smiled. You were always stubborn. I looked around the mansion again. Guess I got that from here. She walked beside me, brushing dust from a covered frame. It's strange seeing it like this. Quiet. Quiet is good, I said. This house was never quiet when they were alive. Always voices, orders, arguments. Ava glanced at me. Do you ever miss them? I thought for a moment. I miss the idea of them. Not who they were, but who I wanted them to be. She nodded softly. That's fair. They died a few years ago, I said. No will, no farewell, nothing left to fight over. The company's under new leadership now, young, idealistic. They'll do better. That doesn't bother you? She asked. Not at all. I built it to survive without me. Ava smiled faintly. Sounds like you finally let go. I met her gaze. I did. Revenge ended long ago. This is just the echo. She stepped closer. So what now, Ethan? I live, I said simply. Without guilt. Without anger. Without needing to prove anything. She touched my arm gently. Leo would have been proud. I swallowed the tightness in my chest. He already was. He saw this day coming before I did. Ava looked around one last time. You sure you don't want to keep anything? I shook my head. Everything worth keeping is outside these walls. We walked out together, down the long path lined with dying roses. The air smelled clean, almost new. At the gate, Ava turned. You know, I used to hate this place. I did too, I said. But now it's just a memory. And memories can't hurt you if you stop feeding them. She smiled softly. You sound at peace. I am, I said. For the first time, I actually am. A car passed by on the road beyond the gate. I watched it disappear into the horizon, the same way my past finally did. Ava squeezed my hand. So where to next? I smiled. Home. Not the old one, the real one. The one we built, she nodded, eyes warm. Let's go then. We walked together toward the road. The wind picked up behind us, carrying the faint creak of the gate closing. I didn't look back. There was no need to. As the mansion faded into the distance, I spoke quietly to the air, to the ghosts that once ruled me. You made me strong, I said again, but not in the way you wanted. Ava glanced at me. What did you say? Nothing, I said with a small smile. Just saying goodbye. She smiled too. Then say it properly. I looked up at the sky, golden and wide, and whispered, goodbye. The word didn't hurt this time. It felt clean, freeing. I took a deep breath and kept walking. The sun was warm on my face, the road stretching open ahead. My story wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about rebirth. And for the first time, I wasn't running. I was living.